Welcome back to today's episode of the Hard Truth Podcast. Today, Eli is going to take us down the adventure of Melchizedek. I'm your host, Clay Lyons.
I'm Eli.
Jacob.
I'm Tyler.
So I watched a TikTok yesterday, and I guess denomination isn't important, but he brought up the point that is the Last Supper foreshadowed in Genesis through Melchizedek. And I watched his video and kept rewatching it, and I'm like, you know what? I think he's on to something. So Melchizedek is, how many times does he show up in the Bible? He shows up once, but then he's talked about.
Yeah, does he actually show up in the valley with David?
I think.
I don't remember.
I don't know if he does or he doesn't. I don't think so.
I know he's mentioned in Psalms just by
Yes. He's in Psalm 110.
Yeah.
And he's just mentioned.
Yeah, he's just mentioned in 110. That's what I can remember in that. I know he's in Genesis when Abram comes across him after defeating the kings.
Yes.
And then he's mentioned in Psalm, and then I want to say it's Hebrews. Hebrews 7.
6.
5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
But I want to start off reading Genesis, and then we can kind of dive in after that. It's going to be Genesis 14, 17 through 20. After Abram returned from defeating I can't even pronounce that, Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the Sheva Valley. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest to God Most High. He blessed him and said, Abram is blessed by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed by God Most High, who has handed over your enemies to him. And Abram gave him 1/10 of everything. Then the king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the people, but take the possessions for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand in an oath to the Lord God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread or sandal strap or anything that belongs to you. So you can never say, I made Abram rich. I will take nothing except what the servants have eaten. But as for the share of the men who came with me, Aner, Eshol, and Mamre, they can take their share. So I want to dive into, I did a lot of deep dive, and so did this guy in the video. What does Melchizedek stand for? And it's like, who is this guy? There's no lineage anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't.
I didn't say where he come from, who he really is.
Right.
He just,
There's no family tree on him. It just says he is a priest of God Most High.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go ahead.
And it also says, just like you're talking about, just to explain it a little bit further, it specifically says he has no father, no mother.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's later on in Hebrews, I think it says that there was no, basically he is without no mother or father, no beginning or death, and that he has no lineage to back up where he came from.
Yeah. He was just, and this gets really interesting later, so I don't want to jump too far ahead. But the interesting thing is Melchizedek played a very important role because he's what set the bloodline for Jesus to be who he was according to the Hebrew lineage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He broke the mold because technically priests could only come from Levi
Yes.
or Aaron.
Yeah.
And he's not from them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It was.
is it left out for a reason?
I believe so.
I think so
Yeah.
too. But Melchizedek combines two Hebrew words, which is Melech, which stands for king, and Sedek, which is justice or righteousness. So you put those together,
Yeah.
king of justice or king of righteousness.
Mhm.
And later, he's also identified as the king of Salem in Psalms, which comes from the Hebrew word for peace, or Salem.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Shalem.
Some of the stuff I watched, they pronounce it Shalem, I think, but
So if you break that down, they're calling him the king of Salem or Shalem, which translates to king of peace.
Yep.
Who else is who's the prince of peace?
Jesus.
Who's the prince of righteousness? Who's like
That's kind of crazy.
it is some of them things. It makes you wonder why they leave stuff out like that
Exactly.
for you to wonder. And
exactly.
It's kind of like not to get deeper. It's like, I mean, God picked him for a reason, like you said. They left it out. We don't know where he come from there. But if he is he's a bad person, but there's a reason God picked him, you know. Hey, because it is said he was a priest to God Most High, so God picked him to be the priest.
yeah, I think I saw a thing where it kind of I don't know if there's another book that kind of explains more of Melchizedek that's not within the canon of scripture that we read through the Bible.
Like a theological book.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's like Enoch or something like that. I think there's another book and it talks more about Melchizedek, and basically there's the theory behind it where it kind of explains, like, they try to say this was a man that was without sin, that was birthed kind of like Jesus was. So like his start to life was almost similar to Jesus. And I want to say it is Enoch, but I'm not 100%. But basically it talks about this was a man that when he was born, when he came out of the womb not a child, but of a full grown man. And with all the knowledge and everything, he already had that whenever he came. And so that's why he's mentioned as the priest of God, because he came out as perfection, already fully grown, fully birthed. And then they say the theory that I've heard is he's not mentioned after the Abram situation, because they say that God took him and put him in Eden so that he couldn't be tainted by the world, or so it's something along those lines.
Okay.
is what I've heard.
And the other interesting thing with it is Abraham stumbles upon this dude. Like
Yeah.
it says he's walking by and the king comes out and greets him.
Yeah.
And Abraham instantly recognizes that Melchizedek worships Yahweh.
Yeah,
Yahweh.
the same God that not many other people are worshiping. You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
So since he is known of the same God that Abraham worships, it says that Abraham gives him 10% of everything he has.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just to have the instant knowledge of that, just by one little interaction, and then it plays such a huge role in the New Testament.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's in line with a lot of the laws that they had then, because it was certain families gave the tenth to other certain families and stuff like that, and that's where like the Levite role plays in with this whole situation, because Abram gives to Melchizedek. And so it's almost like a foreshadowing, because they were saying that Levi was then living through Abram whenever he gave the tenth. So it was like basically a big foreshadowing of what was to come later.
Right.
That's crazy when you mention about the theory that Melchizedek, that king, went back to Eden. My other question is, if you go back to Eden, not to get crazy, is there another person that went to Eden too throughout the book? Uh,
I'm not really sure the whole background. I know that that is one of the theories that I've heard, and I haven't really done a whole lot of research into it, but I did think that was kind of interesting. That was a theory.
That is a very
Yeah,
very
kid.
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Adam, Eve within Eden until they ate the forbidden of knowledge, and then they got kicked out. Ain't nobody's allowed to be back in Eden. Then you mentioned about Melchizedek, kind of got me wondering if it's true, maybe they can't get into Eden because they're not as righteous as he is. Maybe.
Podcast is sponsored by Lambs and Lions Clothing Company. They have a wide variety of high-quality clothing and bamboo sets for the kids. They also have matching sets for mothers. I am proud to partner with Lambs and Lions because they place Jesus at the center of every design. Check out the link in the description below and help support a company that is focused on Christ.
Really heard anything on this. It's interesting that we brought this up a topic of discussion because I've seen a video. It's the same video. I've seen it probably twice, and I just seen it like last week or the week before or something, kind of explaining it again. And it is interesting to think about some of the people that we might look over when we first read through Scripture that play a lot more important role than we think they do, especially in the Old Testament. Because a lot of people that have just read through the Old Testament don't realize how much it foreshadows Christ.
Yeah.
Like Isaiah is a big one. I mean, it really foreshadows a lot of it.
Oh, yeah. And that's like in Genesis 14, is it foreshadowing the Eucharist?
The Last Supper.
Because Melchizedek comes and blesses
What's the blood?
Abram with the bread and wine.
Yeah, it is interesting because I think in a lot of other situations biblically where there's been a celebration after war or something like that, it doesn't say how they celebrate. It doesn't really say what they brought into it. But this point it specifically mentions the bread and the wine.
And for it to be such a, if it was a different person in this book,
Yeah.
you know, like if it said like a priest of, you know, the Levites, or like a priest from the descendant of, you know,
Yeah.
Levi or Aaron, or, you know, but this literally says a priest of God Most High.
Yeah.
And he acknowledges him as the King of Peace, or as his name says, you know, the King of Righteousness.
Yeah.
But I just think it's crazy that he shows up, blesses Abram, and then isn't talked about again
Yeah.
until Psalms, where David is just talking him up. He's not talking to him, he just mentions him.
Yeah.
And he mentions him with reverence.
Yeah, and that was almost like a foreshadow of what it says in Hebrews too, because
Correct,
it's talking
correct.
about he was made a priest forever through the lineage of Melchizedek,
Correct. The
something
order-
along those. Yeah, the
of
order.
Melchizedek.
Yeah, so that's almost like a foreshadow in itself as
Right.
well too.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna read that real quick, starting in Psalm 110, verse 4. The Lord has sworn an oath and will not take it back. I'll get there eventually. You're a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. The Lord is at your right hand. He will crush kings on the day of his anger. He will judge the nations, heaping up corpses. He will crush leaders over the entire world. He will drink from the brook by the road. Therefore, he will lift up his head.
Call me crazy, but when it's there,
Okay, you're crazy.
when it's there, he would drink from the blood by the well, but therefore that he would lift up his head. Now, for some reason, whenever I read them, it says lift up his head, lift up his head. Now, Jesus got crucified, and toward to the end, they tried to get him to drink that sour wine. He said no.
Yeah.
And toward the end,
He
lift
said
up his head.
it is not done yet.
Yeah, and he left his head up and drank. And I don't know if it's a foreshadowing, but it said he would lift up his head.
He lifted up his head whenever he said
It is finished. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
He lifted up his head and said it is finished, and then he drank the sour wine.
And then kind of like, wow. A lot of mind blowing. Where's the bike drop when you need
It's a lot of head scratching.
Yeah, it's definitely a very mysterious thing.
I was like, dang. But yeah, it's just like,
But
I'm sitting over here waiting to explode. I just can't do it yet because we gotta wait till we get towards the end. I got a completely.
He's got it
different
locked
theory
and
than-
loaded.
I got a completely different theory.
and there's so many different ways that you can take this.
Mhm.
But I just, like I said, I saw this video and it was, like I said, about is the Last Supper or the Eucharist foreshadowed in Genesis through Melchizedek.
wow.
And the guy in the video had a very, brought up a solid point. He goes, why is David bringing up, being a priest in the order of Melchizedek? Why not Aaron or Levi? Why not a descendant of them? They were the priests of the Israelites at that time.
Would that be possible?
And that was such a set rule. That was such a hard drawn line.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you get a little nugget of it being okay by the Jews for Jesus to be king.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's why.
Yeah.
Is because he does not fit the Israelites' rules and mold of who it is, or who it needs to be, where he needs to come from.
when you
Lineage doesn't matter.
when you mentioned about why David mentioned Melchizedek, kind of like Holy Spirit, but could it be Melchizedek speaking through him? Maybe. Just like that. People think toward the end, they think Moses gonna show up. They think Elijah gonna show up. They think God Himself gonna show up. It kind of, that could be Melchizedek that can speak through David.
Right.
And like in Hebrew, I still gotta do more reading. It could be like Holy Spirit speaking through all of us. It could be Melchizedek, that guy speaking through him. Yeah. Kind of crazy.
It is.
For my theory, you're on the right track.
I'm on the right track. Okay.
For mine.
So
I
I'll try and wrap this up real quick. But
No, don't.
Well,
Levi and Aaron, the lineages of Levi and Aaron, how many sacrifices, how many offerings
yeah.
did they have to offer throughout the years?
Mhm.
Millions.
Yep.
I mean, millions and millions and millions. And there's this Melchizedek character. He comes in and offers one blessing the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's outside the Israelites' typical mold for a priest. He's literally called the Prince of Peace, or the King of Peace, the King of Righteousness, as his name states. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
And I think that's the real question that we should all ask is who do we think Melchizedek is?
Yeah.
Because I'm good.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. So if you jump up to Hebrews chapter 6, verse 20 specifically, Hebrews chapter 6 is kind of talking about the promise that and the oath that God has given us, and it's impossible for God to lie. So therefore, anybody who flees to God finds refuge in Him. But you jump down to verse 20. It's the very last verse of Hebrews chapter 6. It says, Jesus has already gone in there for us. He has become our eternal high priest in the order of Melchizedek. That's interesting that it says Jesus has become our high priest in the order of Melchizedek.
That's where it wasn't the other stuff that really made me scratch my head. It's when I got to Hebrews, because the one thing that really got me, if I can even get to dang Hebrews, but it's when he's talking about, oh, finally I'm there. Okay. So it says, real quick, I don't want to misspeak.
I try not to interrupt you.
No, you go ahead.
So, like, if you look at Hebrews chapter 7, when you mention about what's his name, like the definition of his name, if you look at it, it says, chapter 7, verse 2, halfway, it says, first his name means king of righteousness, and then you got another one that says king of peace. Without father and mother or genealogy, having neither the beginning of a day nor end of life, it was symbol of the Son of God. Okay. Now, this one really struck my head. It said, but we resemble the Son of God.
And then it says he remains a priest forever.
Could Melchizedek be Jesus all along? I'm not trying to poke. But, I mean, look at Jacob. He worked with a man
You're
named...
stealing Clay's thunder.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you read early, Jacob was, Israel or Jacob worked with the guy that turned out to be God. But here's my question. Could Melchizedek be God too? I mean, I don't.
No, that's actually interesting that you bring that up, because when it talks about wrestling with God, he was wrestling with Jesus.
Yes.
And then when it talks about
Which?
the angel of the Lord, when he passed through and all the Israelites had painted their
Passover.
Yeah, when the angel of the Lord passed through, the angel of the Lord that's referred to, he's unnamed in the Bible. It's Jesus. Anytime you hear the angel of the Lord, because he's only mentioned a couple different times in there, and when he's talking about wrestling with God, it's all Jesus.
Because any time one of the archangels is mentioned, it has their name.
Like Gabriel,
Michael.
Yeah. Well, I know Lucas is a devil, but
Right. But any time any of the archangels are mentioned, it says their name.
But when it's angel of the Lord,
yes,
no name.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting too, because if you look into it a little deeper, when the angel of the Lord came on Passover, it's interesting that the angel of the Lord sent. But if you look into it a little deeper, that's the same time that the archangel Michael is fighting with Satan.
Yeah. Another thing is, okay, so we know Jesus is Son of God, but if you remember, Jesus is also part human. So my question is, or my theory is, Jesus is God. Okay, he came from Father. But in the Old Testament, I know Old Testament is the forechild of Jesus, but was Jesus there the whole time?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you just go back to
Jesus is then at the right hand.
You just go back to John 1 for that, where it says that the Word was there from the beginning, more or less, that he created all things.
Yeah.
So nothing was created without him. So
And
that
even
he even says he was with God and he was God.
Yeah.
You can even go all the way back to Genesis. Once you learn who Jesus is,
Yeah.
you can go all the way back to Genesis. And when God is creating, he says, I created everything through him. And he throws in the word we a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus has been there from the very beginning.
And that's just crazy. I mean, I know God would know what our future, he know what we did and all that. It's just, I mean, it opened our eye, our ear, and our mind. But today, I was like, wow. But when we get deeper with all of it, it's like, okay, the Jacob was Jesus. There is Melchizedek is Jesus. Is, like we all talk about. But, wow, that's another mind blowing.
Where were you going to go in Hebrews?
So the part that really made me scratch my head, I thought it was interesting, and it may just be like a misunderstanding on my part when I read it, but it was 5, so it was back a little bit further, and it's where it says, "Every high priest is selected from among the people and is appointed to represent the people in matters related to God, to offer gifts and sacrifices for sins. He is able to deal gently with those who are ignorant and are going astray, since he himself is subject to weakness. This is why he has to offer sacrifices for his own sins, as well as for the sins of the people. And no one takes this honor on himself, but he receives it when called by God, just as Aaron was. In the same way, Christ did not take on himself of the glory of becoming a high priest, but God said to him, 'You are my son, today I have become your father.' And he says in another place, 'You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek.' During the days of Jesus' life on earth, he offered up prayers and petitions with fervent cries and tears to the one who could save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverent submission. Son though he was, he learned obedience from what he suffered, and once made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation for all who obey him, and was designated by God to be high priest in the order of Melchizedek." For me, the only reason I was like kind of like scratching my head on that is because where it says, "and once made perfect," and I'm like, but he is perfection, like sinless. So where is that line where he went from like sinless? What's the difference? Why is that? They made sure to throw that snidbit in there. Like, so for me, I was kind of confused on that part, and it may just be poor understanding on my end of it.
The other thing is, they don't just say it once that he's a priest according to the order of Melchizedek.
Yeah, and yeah,
They hammer it home and say it twice.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like the very last thing, which mine's normally Bibles are, cut up in paragraphs.
mm-hmm.
In the very end of that paragraph, they make sure, and he was declared by God a high priest according to the order of Melchizedek.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Jesus there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's interesting too because Jesus can't declare himself holy.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, and Jesus even tells us on the Bible he can't declare himself holy.
And God is declaring him.
God has glorified me. God has given me everything
Correct.
under him.
Correct.
It like that. Like, I mean, I'm on New Testament reading John, where he came on the land and the people. He said Jesus knew the Jews were gonna name him king, but he withdrew himself. And just like he's saying, he doesn't declare himself holy. Even the people, I mean, if we call him, hey, he's our king, but he's not. It doesn't mean he's the king of Jews. It's up to God. It's up to Father.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, I think, to my understanding, Father declared him.
So we think that when you go from Psalm, you have to jump all the way to Hebrews to hear about Melchizedek for the next time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. If you turn to John 8, it talks about Melchizedek again, but it doesn't name him. And this is where it kind of wraps back around where you're talking about. You're wondering if it isn't a foreshadow of the Last Supper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it's a foreshadow of the Last Supper. I believe it's a foreshadow of Jesus because Jesus says he is the bread of life. He is the living water.
For sure. I'm not going to disagree with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm just the way he comes and gives Abram this blessing of bread and wine.
Yeah. But and
our sacrament is a blessing of bread and wine, which is the body and blood.
Well, I think I know where you're going with this. I think so.
So when he blesses him, it's a foreshadow of him being revealed to the entire world.
Correct.
Then he becomes the blessing for us. So the Bible 1 tells us that he has many names, and when he returns, he'll have a name that no one yet knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you go to John chapter 8 and you start off in verse 54, this is where the Pharisees are accusing Jesus of being possessed by demons, and they're trying to stone him. So I'm going to skip all of that. I'm sorry, and I encourage you all to read chapter 8 entirely. I'm going to start off in verse 54. Jesus answered, "If I want glory for myself, it doesn't count, but it is my Father who will glorify me. You say he is our God, but you don't even know him. I know him. If I said otherwise, I would be as great as a liar as you. But I do know him and obey him. Your father Abraham rejoiced as he looked forward to my coming. He saw it and was glad." The people said, You aren't even 50 years old. How can you say you have seen Abraham?" Jesus answered, "I tell you the truth. Before Abraham was even born, I am." At that point, they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus was hidden from them and left the temple.
Could I
See,
answer?
right there, open it back.
Sorry.
In verse 56, your father Abraham rejoiced as he looked forward to my coming.
Yes.
He saw it and was glad.
Yes.
Could I?
Right there.
Melchizedek, when
Yeah.
he met Abraham,
Yes.
is Jesus.
Yeah. You just answered the question. I mean,
And the foreshadowing of that whole interaction is the living water and the bread of life is going to be revealed to the whole world.
Yep.
He was first revealed to Abraham.
now I have another theory. I might. Cause I know we talked in early episode. We talked about you want to know what Jesus write in the writing in the stand.
Oh, in the dirt, yeah.
stone. What if just a theory? What if that he was writing Melchizedek on it? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I
But
think
that-
he was writing down the commandments, and I think he stopped at number 7.
I think so.
Okay, when you mentioned that word, and the thing is, in the you got the people of Abraham, the Pharisees that we are the Abraham, son of Abraham. He said, so, oh yeah, and they don't see it, and that's fine. It's just, I don't know. I'm still mind blown about Jesus and Melchizedek. So.
And the only reason why I personally come to that conclusion is based off of the conversation we had earlier, just kind of bring it full circle. Anytime the angel of the Lord is spoke of, it's Jesus. When Jacob's wrestling with God, it's Jesus. And the Bible, based off of all that, tells us that he has many names. He is the great I am. He is Yahweh, Yeshua. He has many names.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that he was placed in that very moment to have that encounter with Abraham, to be foretold that he is going to be revealed to all of us.
Then that's a good likelihood too.
Yeah.
Well, because it's just like whenever whenever Jesus went to the mountain and he took some of the disciples with him, and they saw some of the prophets.
Yep.
I mean, and that's the point where it's like he basically in real time completely went through time itself, time and space itself, and went back to them.
Yep.
That's Melchizedek right there.
So it's like, because he can do everything. If he's God, he can do that. He has nothing that holds him to any standard of where he needs to be or where he can be, what time, what part of space.
So here's another little nugget or loophole which we could go down, and it's quite a bit of speculation, but God didn't make time. God did not create time.
No.
He created day and night.
Yeah.
Humans created time.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the early Testament. A lot of people live. Some of them, more important people, live 400 or 500 people. But what about the regular people?
Right.
I think to me, when they create like what the oldest person that lived was like maybe 115. I might be wrong, something. a lot of people question like, well, why we stop that age? I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean,
I don't want to get too far into it because I think this could be an interesting thing to turn a series into just rabbit holes.
Oh, for sure.
oh yeah,
But based off of what you said, I will say this real quick. If you notice and if you read through scripture, people lived to be 900,
Yeah, hundreds and hundreds of
very,
years old.
very old,
Yeah,
until
the flood.
The flood.
Yeah,
And then after the flood, which God tells us that heaven is separated from earth by water.
mm-hmm.
And then after the flood, I think the firmament of the water before the flood had something to do with the aging process in humans.
yeah. Because Noah, I think Noah and his children still lived to be some hundreds of years
Yeah,
old
but they were
and had
alive.
many
Noah
children.
was
Yeah,
like
but then
like
after that,
500
it
something.
rapidly decreased in
And then
age.
his kid, maybe I might be throwing off like 200 at least, but it's like like you said,
Yeah.
it just
It just rapidly decreased after those.
And now we have our wonderful government poisoning us.
hey now you gotta be careful.
With that being said, we're all out of time for today, and we'll see you guys next week.